Friends, good day. Edward Said had written, a Palestinian, Christian Palestinian writer, Edward Said, had written a book, Orientalism. So this is the book, Orientalism. It is about Western concept of the Orient, how the West had seen the Orient, how they see us. So this book, Orientalism by Edward Said, is a very important book, a concept which he defined how the West sees Orient through their own eyes. So today we are going to discuss about this Orientalism and it is published in 1978, a non-fiction, and Orientalism by Edward Said. Edward Said, Orientalism introduces the concept of Orientalism, a force that has shaped Western, Occidental means the West, academic scholarship, cultural imagination and production, and public policy concerning the space known as the Orient. The Orient consists of modern geographic territories known as the Middle East and Asia, commonly referred to as the Near East and Far East. Orient means Middle East, Asia, commonly referred to the Near East and Far East respectively. Historically, the Orient has been situated as the opposite of the West, which is comprised of European power, and later the US Orientalism explores the hierarchical relationship between the West and East. Occidental and Orient, it examines how Western dominance in the production of knowledge has and continues to presently influence Western intervention in the political affairs of the Middle East and Asia. Across 3 chapters, each 4 topical section, Said moves through the discussion of Orientalism, addressing first its scope, then its various structures, and finally its most recent iterations in the first chapter. Said addressed the scope of Orientalism as a historical practice of consolidating knowledge about the Orient into the form that can be studied and conveyed to the Western audience. While Orientalism is a force that has shaped different intellectual and political activities across the West and the Orient, its impact could always be traced back to its consolidating tendency. However, as the Orient is a culturally diverse, politically nuanced, and highly expansive geographical space, the West constantly return to it through their scholarship and political intervention is a persistent effort to contain it. This effort is motivated by a self-perpetuation crisis. The more the West involves itself with the Orient and profess to contain it, the more complicated the Orient becomes to the West. So, in the second chapter of this book, Edward Said deepens his discussion of Orientalism by analyzing several cultural texts with an emphasis on Western studies of Islam. He described how philology and anthropology played a large role in encouraging Orientalist view of Islam by turning the study of Islam into a science of observation and description of objective reality. Western scholars and writers propagated the idea of known Islam that was available to general Western imagination. These ideas of Islam populated a wide range of Western cultural work, drawing on Arab and Islamic stereotypes to relay messages of Arabs and Islamic people as different, fearsome, sinful, and inferior to European. In the 18th and 19th century, Orientalism continued to expand and take on a modernized form as a more formalized this discipline in Western academic institution. While the various European powers had different cultural and political investment across territories in the Orient, their contribution to Oriental studies shared the same value. The study of Orient became a necessary way of stabilizing the West in the face of what appeared to be an increasingly complicated East. In the final chapter of the book, Said offers a overview of the Orientalism in the present day. With the rise of US political influence, the image and symbol of Islam and the Arab pervades American popular culture. Said urged that the historical impact of Orientalism is the creation of such popularized image in conjunction with the expanding Western intervention in Arab and Islamic state. Furthermore, while Orientalism had operated previously as part of conservative agenda, it is now propelled by a Western liberal impetus to involve oneself in a very aspect of Western project in the Western world. As this is the current state of affairs, Said wondered how the project of this book might serve to challenge the forces of Orientalism. So this book, Orientalism, a very important book related, and this is the first time Edward Said had written about from the perspective of Orient, how the West see us through their own eyes, through their own glasses. So the theme of this book is binary opposition, Oriental, Occidental. Said expressed the relationship between Oriental and Occident as one of the binary opposition. The concept of binary opposition originated with Ferdinand de Saussure, a seminal figure in the structuralist theory, who defined it as two ideas that are dependent on one another for definition, but which are theoretically opposed. This dependency and opposition articulate the historical and theoretical bind in the relationship between the Orient, the East, and the Occidental, the West. Said urged that this bind is maintained by the dominant Occidental power who have always relied on the Orient to fortify its own identity. By creating and maintaining a binary opposition between the Orient and the Occident, the West is able to define itself through its distinction from the values of the East. In 1972 issues of the American Journal of Psychiatry, US government official Harold W. Giddens penned an essay where he described Arabs in the Middle East as characterized by anxiety expressed in generalized suspicion and distrust, which has been labeled free-floating hostility. In this instance, the Orient is positioned as perpetually hostile, mistrustful, and against peace. This is juxtaposed against the West, which values peace. The West is considered rational, peaceful, liberal, logical, capable of holding real values, whereas the Arab individual possesses the opposite traits. So this is the book, ladies and gentlemen, Orientalism, written by Edward Said. This is a very important book, and it discusses a very vital issues relating to the problem of East and West, how the West see us through their own eyes. And here Edward Said had beautifully explained the misconception always involved about the East, about the Orient mean East. So I think this is a very thought-provoking book, and it gives us a new dimension while defining the East and West. So I think when we go through these pages of this book, we find it very thought-provoking and interesting also, and it gives us a new impetus and a dimension to us. Thank you very much for the patient listening. I hope you will enjoy. Thank you very much.